Okay, hey, it's Tasty Tuesday, and I am very, very thirsty. Hopefully, you're as thirsty as I am. Just getting things ready to go here for another round with Malt Muser. He'll be joining me here in a little bit, and we're going to take a look at a distillery that I've had a good run-in with. The 24-year-old is awesome from Ancnoc, and the distillery though is Knock Do. And that's kind of a funny thing was I always wondered why did Knock Do when they released whiskey, why didn't they just call it Knock Do 12 or whatever? Why Ancnoc instead? And what I found out was basically there's another distillery called Nakando, which is Kno Ckando, which is really close to the Nocdu, which is the Knockdhu. So that's the reasoning behind the difference of why. But either way, the Enoch 24 is an awesome bottle, and I'm trying to remember, I've had a couple other Enochs as well. Hey, good to see you, Daniel, and Silverlock. Um, but I'm thinking that the NAS, the Cutter is one I had. That was a good peated one. The Flounder I was not too big of a fan of, only because I wasn't in tune with the type of peat they were or barley they were using with that offering. But the other stuff has been really good. And so I'm looking forward to these. These will be new for me. I've not had the 12 or the 18 yet, so I don't believe I've had the 12. If I have, it's been a long, long, long time ago. We'll put it that way. Hasn't been anything recently. But I have tried some of their other things. But it's good to see that they haven't really changed their lineup that drastically. Like Thai Bev owns these. They own Ball Blair, Ancnoc, which is made by Nocdu, Speyburn, and Old Pulteney. And we do know that the Old Pulteney line has changed tremendously recently, as well as the Ball Blair line. Thankfully, the Speyburn and the Nocdu doesn't seem like it's changed that much. Change is not always bad, but the Old Pulteney changes were, I'm not a huge fan of the older stuff, but the new 15 was really good. I'm going to try the 18 again here in a show we will have coming up here in the next couple months or so. But I'm looking forward to trying it again and give it another try. But initial taste was, I was surprised at how well the 15 actually did well with me compared to the 18 or older. 25, I think, is where it got for me good again, which is kind of funny to say it that way. But I think that, when you make changes, sometimes it's just not always great. Like with the Ball Blair stuff, the vintage years were kind of their staple, always well regarded whiskey. And I have not had a chance to try the new stuff. I am looking forward to that as well. I do have a bottle of the new 18 I have got my eye on. It's not available in the States yet because Thai Bev wants to wait until they sell more of the surplus of the vintage years before they get their year age statements out here in the States. So that's something else to consider. Let me go ahead and get Malt his invite so he can pop in, and that's kind of like the background. Like I said, Nocdu is the distillery. They changed the name to Ancnoc for their releases because of the Nakando distillery. I've had the 15 Nakando, and I liked it a lot. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Nakando or Nakando because it ends with an O, but with Scottish Gaelic, it's really tricky with the O's at the ends. I think it might be an oo sound, but it's that's one of the harder languages for me to pick up. I've got some of it, like I remember like your BHs or Vs, as well as your MHs are like soft Vs, but you also have your just really bizarre, like the DAIL at the end of Ugadal is actually a all sound. It gets complicated. Speaking of complicated,
Me?
no, I'm just messing with you, man. How you been?
Telex. I've been good. How are you?
Really, really good. That was so glad that we got to meet up and do another sauce exchange. That was a fun and interesting one. About electrocuting myself in the process.
Yeah, Telex is still alive. He didn't get electrocuted. These are all pluses.
Yeah, I was putting up my ham radio antenna and I was talking to him. I was doing it, and I swear I just crashed right into a power line. I was so lucky that it wasn't the actual power top line; it was one of the bottom ones. So that could have been a nightmare. How's everybody doing? Hopefully, let me know what you guys are drinking.
Yeah, we had a great happy hour, man. You'll be jealous. I sampled some friends of the show, Daniel. I sampled an Edgerdour 10-year-old cask strength barrel select first fill Oloroso at 57.4%, and the Kilkerran 8 Oloroso 57.1. So those were absolutely delicious.
Both Edgerdours?
Yeah, no, that one. The second one was Kilkerran.
Kilkerran, gotcha. Ooh, did you prefer the Kilkerran over the Edgerdour, or vice versa?
I preferred the Edgerdour, but yeah, I mean they're both really good.
Huh. Okay. The yeah, I've been lucky enough to have the Edgerdour a few times, like the basic 10. Had the Caledonia once, and had one of their Balakan, which is their heavily peated offerings. It was an Oloroso sherry. Not an age statement, unfortunately. A lot of their stuff is very young. The oldest bottle I can find right now is a 12-year, and I do have one on hold for us, so we'll be looking at the Edgerdour 12 here. And it's reasonably priced about $80, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, before we get into this, have you got yourself anything new since we last were online here?
Not since that one, because that was a big purchase. I went ahead and got the Tobermory 21 and Glenlivet 21 and Glenfiddich 21 and a Balvenie 21, and it's a bunch at one time. Glenmorangie 18. So that was a big purchase. I do have on that note, though, I do have some things on hold for us I was going to talk to you about. And we've been talking about the Bunnahabhain 25 as one of our favorites that we would love to get our hands on.
I have an update on that too. I was doing some searching, and despite my big promises, I found it for $5.80.
Yeah, I was going to say $5.99.97 was like the cheapest I could find it for.
Totally, man. Totally.
It's going to be in the. I'm not sure if I'll get that right away next month, but it's definitely on our radar. One I do definitely have on hold is the Edgerdour 12, like I mentioned, and thankfully that's only like $80, so that should be an easy one. I've got the Old Pulteney 18, the new one, for $139.99. That's on hold for us, so that's going to be a good one. As well as I told him
Old Pulteney that we could do too. 13-year-old.
Awesome. I did ask him to take a look out for that Tomatin 30, and I say 30 with hesitation, but I have seen reasonable prices for that, believe it or not. But the 18 for Tomatin's only $85, so I do have the 18 on hold for us if you can't find a 30 for a reasonable price. So that one is on there as well.
Great.
And Stephen Connor mentioned that he had a Ben Nevis, maybe original official bottling, hopefully at 21. I'll have to get with him on price on that one on the side and see if we can secure something like that for a show as well.
Awesome. That's awesome.
What about you?
Nothing new on this front. I did a little hunting, but I didn't find anything exciting. But I'll tell you what I am excited about is that we are getting into Ancnoc tonight, my friend. I have been hyped about this for a while. As I was alluding to on the happy hour on my channel, I really discovered Ancnoc this year, and I've had a couple of their expressions I absolutely think is one of the more integrity and thrilling Scotch whiskeys that I've had in a while. So I'm super eager to dive into these tonight. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing the 12-year-old just relatively soon here, and then we'll do the 18-year-old in the second hour. So, yeah, why don't we? You want to dive in?
Yeah, I was chatting with the guys right before you joined about the reasoning. Do you know the reasoning because they're not due? They named it Ancnoc.
So it's an interesting story, right? So like, there's another distillery in Speyside called Knockando.
Yeah,
and Knock Do. You know, from what I understand, and there may be more to it, was trying to differentiate themselves from that. So they changed it to Ancnoc, which is where they source their water from.
Exactly
So
right.
it's supposedly one of the more, mineral heavy, which I think we will notice on this whiskey, and like, blah blah blah, great springs in Scotland, et cetera, et cetera.
The funny thing about the Nakondo, which is, yeah, it's weird how close the names are together, and I can see why now they don't use that name. But the Nakondo series, I haven't had anything but the 15. The 15 is actually pretty good, so it's on my radar to try to get us one of their high end ones if I can find one, and hopefully even pick up like a 10 or something on the side if I can find it. They're actually harder to find. So the funny thing about it is that even though Noctu was the ones that were trying to differentiate themselves, they're the ones that end up, I think, being a lot more popular. Just kind of funny how that works.
Yeah, that's unexpected. I've not had any of the Nakando, so I can't speak to it directly, but I've had some good Annocs, that's for sure.
Well, I think once you get it to you, if I
try somewhere down the line.
if I can get you some, I think you would actually enjoy it. It kind of reminds me that Nakando 15. It's not maybe as good as the Glen Scotia 15, but it has that kind of profile to it.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells you where it's if it's not sherry, man, it'd be a big surprise because it tastes like it's got that sherry goodness in it.
Yeah. All right.
12.
So here we go. So Ancnoc 12 years old. This is a entry level of their spirit range. These are the Ancnoc is on Speyside, as he was telling you. It's from the Ancnoc distillery. This one in America, 43% ABV.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that because I saw it was 40 on distiller, and I thought that's probably in a British bottle, maybe.
Yeah, Peter White was alluding to it. So that's apparently and unfortunately the case in Canada too. But this is 43%. Really just like minimalist presentation, which I do appreciate out of Ancnoc. They're not about the flair. This one, it does. Here's what it has to say on the bottle. Not a whole lot, unfortunately. But on the tube, let's take a look. Little bit of stuff about the distillery itself. Blah 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 blah. So it does not mention anything explicitly on here about natural color chill filtration. So I suppose we have to assume it, but we'll talk more about this a little bit later because.
I was gonna say I did do some homework, and I can tell you if you want to know now. Or if you want to wait, we can wait.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up with the 18, but I think you're probably correct, and you can go ahead and share.
Well, I was doing some homework because sometimes it is worth kind of doing a little research if you're looking for a special bottle and you're trying to differentiate between one versus another. These two are different. It's the same distillery, but the 12 does have coloring, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the chill filtering is also there. With the 18 though, it's not chill filtered or colored, which is kind of a real big difference.
And that's and you hit the nail on the head. That's one of the things I was going to mention is that like they oftentimes with the distillery, they're going to hide this stuff from you. Like they don't, even when it's potentially not. You remember we were talking about last week with the Ben Romick 12 Imperial, you had to like look through a booklet in order to even know that it was unchill filtered. Ancnoc actually is pretty transparent, and we'll talk a bit more about that when we get into the 18. But yeah, unfortunately with this 12-year-old, it does seem to me that because it's not, and look, as Ralphie always says, the contract is on the label, and that's what we're working with. That said, this is the color we're looking at. It's a very light gold. I mean, boy, if they put color in this,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
They did a tasteful job. This is a great presentation. So even if they're coloring this whiskey, they're not doing it the way Dalmore does it. They're doing it for consistency purposes only. Right. And it's evident because if they were doing this to try to fool you, they would be coloring this with a lot more of the red side of it than the real faint yellow is really what this color is.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know, you thought somebody would have poured you an Ardbeg 10. I mean, it's that color.
Exactly. Yeah.
Raw gold. All right. Well, these were my pours, so I'll let you kind of take the lead on nose, taste, finish, final score, and I'll follow you up.
Ooh, nice. It's like a. ginger and a biscuit combined together on the first hit of the nose. It's like a nice sourdough with a little spice. Pears. Definitely like a light, like a more of a, I want to say yellow apple, like a golden delicious maybe. Huh. A little bit of a, like a sawdust type of.
Mm.
Huh.
And you absolutely nailed it on the nose. I mean, those are actually probably more precise notes than I even had. The only thing I would add is honey.
Oh yeah.
And a bit of citrus. I get a little bit of a citrus, and it's more lemon than lime.
Exactly. I was gonna say lemon is. As soon as you said citrus, I was thinking, what type of? It's definitely not orange, and then lemon is definitely the.
Yeah, like a fresh. It's almost like you like a surface cleaner.
Yeah, thankfully it's not too artificial smelling. It's not like a.
Yeah, it's very clean.
I think the fresh lemon, it was a good analogy, good representation.
It's loud too. I mean, it's really loud. Like these flavors, like even as Telex just described sourdough bread, which honestly I didn't even consider. Like they're loud. I mean, it really is jumping out of the glass on this. It reminds me a bit of the Craigellachie 13 again, which is something we seem to continually go back to when it comes to this like sweet sour and then the bitter. Like that's the thing, the bitterness. It feels like it's right in that wheelhouse.
I think that's the funny thing. I can't remember if Craigellachie is Speyside or Highlands, but they're Speyside. A lot of the Highland Speysides really kind of are a lot alike to me. In the Craigellachie, not looking at the more Speyside fruity ones, but the more like spice, vanilla, good bourbon cask maturation type thing.
Yeah,
that's where I think a lot of these.
Yeah, I mean this has got to be ex-bourbon. It doesn't say on the bottle or the tube, but boy, you wouldn't necessarily notice it. I mean, it's not heavy by any stretch.
The only thing I could find was it's supposed to be previously used American and Spanish oak barrels on this one.
Oh, so maybe there's some sherry in it.
They didn't specify. Definitely not peated, but as far as sherry, I think you nailed it. I think it's these Spanish and American. Spanish and American oak barrels. They're well. If it's Spanish oak barrels, does it have to be from sherry?
It doesn't, but I mean, it ain't bourbon. Like I would assume it's sherry. I don't think if there's any sherry in this, it's like more in the PX range because of the sweetness. Like I don't get any dark fruit or dried fruit on this at all.
Right? Could it be like a Spanish oak, like wine type barrel?
Possibly. Because it does remind the 12-year core range. I don't know.
It does remind me like of has like some white wine qualities to the nose, but
lemon meringue pie. As it continues to kind of like oxidize, the vanilla, the creamy lemon thing is just blowing up.
It's like whipped cream with that.
Yeah.
Meringue, I think, is a better. You got a better analogy on that one. I like that.
Yeah, this is solid, man. All right, I'm going in for a taste.
Yeah, it's so far so good. I can imagine that the folks in Britain that are stuck in Canada with the 40% though are probably not as happy as we are.
Mm.
Wow, that taste is not anywhere. This is completely different than what I thought it was going to taste like. That's funny.
Wow. I mean, I've drank a lot of this, and every time I drink it, I'm still pretty amazed. It hits the second level. I'll let you go first on the taste. Or I'll go first on the taste.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, immediately it's like sweet, sour, bitter, kind of medium on the palate. You get some sharp, almost like borderline piney notes. There's the honey, there's the citrus, there's a bit of the oak spice, and then you just get this blast of what tastes to me like vanilla, like ex-bourbon cask. There's vanilla. There's a slight like a light caramel. There's like almond nougat. It just comes in and it holds into honestly a medium long finish. It really holds, which I think is one of the more impressive things about this pour. Wow. I mean, it's still hanging on. It's almost like toffee. There's, I would even almost venture to say it's close to almost a milk chocolatey finish. And then you just get a little bit of spice, a bit of that like sharp acidity, which is, again, lemon meringue. Man.
Yeah, pine nuts. I think you nailed it with there's like a bit of also with pine nuts and like some black pepper with this the little subtle though, not much. It's like a little bit at the end. I'm surprised that I mean the lemon and the custard, like the buttery cream is there. I'm just surprised there wasn't more of a fruit presence in the whiskey. That's the only thing that
I don't think much of it. I mean, if anything, it's almost borderlining on like a tropical fruit, like a mango thing. Like there's not the deep, there's no like real red fruits, maybe strawberry. I don't know. Nothing dark, nothing stone fruit, nothing dried fruit.
No, it's definitely got more of a citrus, like if there's maybe a little orange possibly, but
yeah, orange, yeah.
That's like the only thing that's there. It does have it's not bitter per se, but it does have like a rindy bit of a tinge in the finish. It's got that tartness still going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure I go. I think when I say bitter, I don't know if I'm quite as. I mean, I see what you're saying. I'm not getting quite as much of that. I think it's actually kind of rounded out.
I might have to try a little more here.
By all means.
I think I'm a bigger fan of the nose than I am the palate so far. I do love the nose, though. It's not bad. It's just it's not definitely not on the sweeter end of drams. It's more. It's definitely rounder.
Yeah.
There's this flavor that's underneath of the orange and the rind. There's something else going on.
You're right about the orange. You're right about the orange. I actually didn't pick it up quite a bit, but I am more now. It's like a sharpness, but it's not. I want to say it's kind of oaky, but it's not.
I think you nailed it. I think it might be the oak.
Sandalwood, cedar, like not cedar. That's a little bit too sharp. More like sandalwood, just kind of like rounded base, kind of nothing. Cinnamon, cinnamon sugar, maybe.
There are some guys out there that are really big on they want to get a lot of that oak out, the oakiness. And this is where I kind of differ from some people on the subjective front. I tend to lean more towards the sweeter drams than this one. So I'm trying not to let it affect my score as much, but it's definitely more of a bite on the palate than I personally would like, but I do love the nose on this, man. The nose I can nose all day. It's so weird to me that how different the sweetness I'm getting in the fruit off the nose versus the wood and the bite on the palate.
Curious if you're picking up a soapy note at all.
Thankfully, no. But
are you getting it like not on the nose, but on the palate? Are you getting a soapy note?
Maybe that's what it is too. Maybe it's hard to explain what that. I think it's the minerality that you mentioned before. Maybe that's what's giving it that kind of tinge. You know what I mean? I think you might have frozen on me.
Sure. No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry. It looked like you were like this for a second. I was like, uh-oh.
I mean, it might have happened. I've been having weird internet connection issues, but I'm going to do a little bit of water.
Maybe a little minerality, but it's not like terrible. Not a whole lot, just enough to make me think. Yeah, hopefully a drop or two of water will.
The minerality thing is there for me for sure, and I think this is something that's really omnipresent in Ancnoc. I mean, I get it. It's heavy, despite the flavor palette being kind of light and bright. It's a heavy whiskey.
Get your droppers out, guys, for 43%. Don't want to see any big ass spoons out there. Screw that.
No tablespoons.
Oh my goodness,
I
man.
think Andrew Page, I know, who's in the chat, is drinking this.
Oh yeah.
Drink when you don't want to have sherry or peat. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That's a good way to put it.
I think any, and I would consider Ancnoc a good Highland option. And when I think of good Highland options, I also think of like isn't Dalwhinnie a Highland? I think too. Dalwhinnie's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of some other really good
Yeah,
Highland.
the honey bear. Yeah, Dalwhinnie is a Highland.
And this definitely stands up to their 15. I might like the 15 a little bit better, but this does definitely for the fans of that wood, man. This is definitely going to be up their alley. I think maybe the water might tame it down a little bit, though. Let's see.
Yeah, I find this a little bit more interesting than the Dalwhinnie, but I have also not had the Dalwhinnie in a long time, so I can't speak to it clearly.
Same here. I'll be honest. It's been a few years since I've had it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one and done. You know, I don't dislike it, but take it easy, Gary. Happy holidays to you too, man.
Happy holidays, Gary. Hopefully, see you again soon, man. I do like the nose even more with the water. It's brought out even more of the citrus fruits for me. The oranges and lemons are popping even more, and the oranges are a little more up front to balance out the tartness and sourness of that lemon.
Yeah.
On the nose, at least. Let's see about the palate.
And so folks know this is around a $55 bottle. So kind of right in that range for a 12-year-old.
Oh, so much better, man. So much better. Holy moly. That's all it needed was I took my eyedropper, my little pipette thing here.
Yeah.
I give it 2 little mini drops on a decent pour. And I tell you what, man, it's like night and day. That minerality just vanished for me as soon as I popped it with that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm still sitting with this finish with water, which I think is a little bit diminished on my personal taste, but I'm still really enjoying it. This whiskey,
man, don't you like the spice though in the finish after the water?
It's slight, it's nutmeg, and like very nutmeg. And there's a slight cinnamon dryness to it. So it's a little bit tannic, but it's all cinnamon.
I tell you what, man, this is
finish. Man, this is a long finish for a 12-year-old.
To me, this is like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde for me with the water, because I swear, especially on the palate, the pre-drop or two of water on the palate, I was leaning towards, man, I'm going to have to give this a rough score. But with the water, man, holy shit, it's like completely 360. It went from like a 2 to a 4.
Wow.
that different, I couldn't believe how different it was. It for me the finish is better with the water because it brings that really great nutmeg you mentioned, some cinnamon in there, some allspice, and I get the sweetness. I also get like the ginger becomes more of a candied ginger. Oh man, and the oranges are still there. It's medium length, I'd say. It might not be the longest, but it's for the age. It's really well done, I'd say.
I'm actually, I differ with you on this. I feel like this is surprisingly long finish. It's hanging on quite a bit.
With the water, though, even
with the water, yeah.
Let me see. Let me give it another big gulp here and see. Yeah, it almost has like a cola feel to it.
Yeah, and it really does. Like root beer almost.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the root. It doesn't have the darkness, but it has the effervescence.
I think it's the ginger, that combination with that and the fruit that's giving it that kind of root beer-esque feel to it. That's wild. It's like sassafras.
Yeah.
It does have like it's like it's herbal without the herbs. It's got an earthiness to it without being funky. It's kind of, it's a paradox, sort of.
Well,
That's good. I'm gonna have to have some more.
Telex has turned the corner here on the Ancnoc 12, y'all. You are witnessing this is why. And look, there are people, and I'm sure everybody knows one who's like, you tasted neat. That's it. Water doesn't matter. I think that's ridiculous. I think you always add water because water breaks up alcohol compounds. It separates the molecules.
Uh-oh. He might have froze.
Everything. And so Telex's experience tonight that we're all enjoying is a testament to that. I'm a firm believer in a little bit of water.
Definitely. It's funny because I was looking at, I didn't look at the notes because I don't want to get like influenced by the notes, but I was looking at a couple of reviews to see if people liked it or not. And then once I looked at those, I noticed that it was kind of split, and I thought, I wonder why it's such a polarizing dram. Now I know, and I guarantee you it's because half the people are trying this neat, and they're not even giving it a thought of a drop of water because it's only 40 to 43%. And either way, you've got to put a drop of water on this because it made a D into a B+. That's for me, it was like night and day difference. I can see why people were so kind of cruel to it on one hand, but if you just take a little time and give it a drop or two, man, it transforms the dram 110%. Can I say 110%? I guess I can.
Yeah, you can. I mean, that's a good point, man. And like, happy to roll into what are your final thoughts?
It's really, really, really good after that drop or two. I'll be honest, like before the water, I was leaning towards like a 2 to 2.5. And I was trying not to let my subjectiveness come into play, but it seemed a bit one-sided on the minerality / rind bitterness aspect of it. But as soon as I put that drop on there, man, it went from 2 to 2.5 to like a 3.5 to 3.75. That's where I'm kind of sitting now, and I'm trying to determine which am I going to go even farther to the 3.75, or am I going to keep it to the 3.5? That's
sure. Yeah. It's a beguiling whiskey in that way, isn't it?
This is what makes whiskey fun to me, is finding out how to make it where I love it. And usually, usually with good whiskey, especially even the, $40, $50 range, if you just play around a little bit, don't be afraid of the 40% sometimes. Put a drop or two of the water, and same thing happened with that Dalmore King Alexander. It's the same shit. Like, neat. It's okay. It's 40% alcohol, just like anything else. But if you put a drop or two of water on that sucker, man, it turns it into like a 4-star bouquet. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm very there with you. This has a lot of complexity. I actually get florals, I get bourbon notes, I get a little bit of aggressive whiskey youthfulness, but I think it's well made. The 43% is a huge thing. For me, I'm thinking about a 12-year-old whiskey here. This is not a beginner whiskey. I would suggest this is a whiskey that people who are into Springbank, people who are into Craigellachie, people who are into like something Kilkerran, something a little bit more complex, a little bit more nuanced, will find surprising joy in drinking. The price at $50-$55 USD, I think, is awesome. And like, the only difference, Telex and I incorporate cost into my reviews. But I would say this is one of the more interesting 12-year-olds. And despite me not always being able to put my finger exactly on what I love about it, I just love it. This is a 3.5 out of 5 for me. And I will sit with that comfortably and say that when it comes to 12-year-old whiskeys, for folks who are kind of looking for something a little bit different, this is great. I did prefer it neat, but I still think, this whiskey has a lot going on for it. It's a testament to the craft. I'm comfortable at a 3.5 out of 5 in terms of a 12-year-old whiskey at $55.
Yeah, I have to. I'm stick with malt on this one. 3.5, I think, is going to be as far as I can go. Only because I did prefer it with the water. If I liked it both ways with the neat and the water, then I would have bumped it up to a 3.75 or a 4. But with that said, though, man, it is glorious with a drop or two of water for me, and I love the sweetness and the spice factor after the fact. It's nice that it can this is a great whiskey to me also because it can appeal to your woody oak guys, your ones that like the sweet dram like I do, ones that are like into more spicy drams like black and white pepper drams like Gelicky like we mentioned. It definitely is able to play all the bases at the same time as a 12-year-old. For $50, man, that's like a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
That's glorious.
Across the board for Telex and I on the Ancnoc, 12 years old. Let me know in the chat. Let us know in the chat. Have you had the Ancnoc? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are we way off base? Is this a shit whiskey? Is it an amazing whiskey? Let us know in the chat. We're really enjoying the Ancnoc session we're having tonight. And at top of the hour, about 20 minutes, we're going to get into I can't wait. I've been wanting to put this in Telex's hands for a while. An 18-year-old Ancnoc. And you know what? I will drop a few notes about the 24-year-old Ancnoc later in the show. So let us know in the chat.
Yeah, we both love the 24. That was one of the first older bottles of whiskeys I got because it was so affordable. I think it's still around $250 if you're lucky to find it. Is that about right, Malt, or have you seen it higher than $250?
Are you talking about the 24?
Yeah.
I'm going to save that for the second hour, my friend.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But I'll tell you a little bit about that because it ties in a little bit to something else, which I'm going to mention later in the show. So
that's perfect. Okay. This 12, man, it makes me want to look out. They have a 16-year-old that I wasn't aware of until recently. And I was wondering why didn't I see that, on the shelf? And it's a travel retail bottle, from what I gather. Let me see something here. I can pull it up here on the side. I was looking because, like I was saying, the Ball Blair and Old Pulteney have changed the lines. Ty Bev owns all these guys, but they have not changed Ancnoc or Speyburn, thankfully. The current range is still the 12, the 18, the 24. They have a 35-year-old release, which would be really interesting if it wasn't, probably $500 or $600, but maybe someday we might be able to tackle that one. It'd be nice. They do have a 16-year-old, which I'm kind of eager to try, but I think that's travel retail. They also have a peated sherry, I've noticed, and this is one I have never tried. Has anyone had their peated sherry? And if you have, did you like it or not? I was curious. Because peated sherry sounds like it's going to try to compete with like an Ugadal type of thing, you would think. I'm curious to see it, like how it holds up to that. But they've changed a bit. They used to have like their Peter Arkell and their Patrick Grant releases, a peaty basic one like the Cutter. But they've changed a bit on their line recently. But thankfully, they haven't really gotten away from their typical lineup, it looks like. So that's good news for everybody.
Can you excuse me for just a minute? I'm going to go get a refill of my water, and I'll be back.
No problem, man. Let's check up with a couple of comments here and see what you guys are having. Looks like, how does this compare with the Deanston 12? And he's talking about the Ancnoc 12. Man, that's a good question. I think they're very similar in quality. I might give a little bit of an edge to the Deanston only because for that one, it was a little more enjoyable neat. But after the water, though, I think I might prefer the Ancnoc 12 a little bit, only because of that would be a good shootout to actually do an Ancnoc 12 and a Deanston 12 together. Oh man, it'd be really close. I think if I was scoring the Deanston 12, I would give it a 3.75 to 4 out of 5. So it's really close though. It's not a huge difference. It's if someone offered both to me, it only would depend on my mood. If I'm wanting a more like straight up bourbon cask whiskey, I would go for the Deanston 12. If I want a little more of an interesting spice, sweet mix with a really good toffee and some ginger, candied ginger, then I'm going to go for the Ancnoc 12. That's the main difference there. Less of that sharp alcohol presence and pear. Yeah, I think he's talking about a different dram though somewhere. I think you guys were talking about the Bruichladdich earlier. Let's skip forward here. Yeah, it's basically the Lottie with smoke. So dang good. I love that PC10, man. Ooh, Port Charlotte is unbelievable. That's one of the more underrated distilleries, is Bruichladdich, in my opinion. I'm surprised. Maybe they have too many offerings. Maybe that's the problem. They don't do a whole lot of the aged stuff, so maybe that's a part of it. Let's see. Well, there he is.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, just going through some of the comments. I was thinking about Port Charlotte and how much I like them, and I was thinking about how underrated Bruichladdich is as a distillery overall. It seems like, and I was like, why? I wonder why they're not as big as like your Ardbegs and Laphroaigs and stuff. And I thought, well, maybe it's because they just don't really. I mean, they have a lot of offerings. But they don't ever really do a whole lot on the aged offerings. They have like the Black Arch, which is 23 years old, or somewhere around the 20 years range. And they've had a couple aged, like you can find a Bruichladdich 18 or some of their stuff that's aged, but it's really hard to find for some reason. It seems like.
I agree. I totally agree.
And once you find it, the price is going to be probably a kind of a scare.
Yeah, I mean, Bruichladdich, like I think they make really great whiskey. I love the craft they put into it. They don't cut corners in a lot of cases. I've had like the classic Lottie. I've had one of their like Isla Barleys. The only one I have, I mean, this is not by any means exhaustive, but the only one I have on the whiskey shelf, of course, is the Black Art 4.1, which is my favorite, probably my favorite whiskey ever. But I do love the Port Charlottes. I have a Port Charlotte indie bottling, which we'll do sometime. This is 14-year-old single cask, 51.1% from that boutique. We'll dig into that at some point in time.
You brought up a good point. I think the Bruichladdich, if you are going to look for an aged one, is probably best to find an independent at this point, minus the Black Arts.
Yeah. The Black Art is, and again, the first four are the Jim McEwen releases. If you can find those, buy them without hesitation. The new ones are their new master distiller. But
was the new master distiller, was his first one the 5?
I'm not sure actually.
It would make sense to me because I tell you what, when I had the 4, I absolutely adored it. I loved it. And then when I went to the 5, it was good, but it was missing that mushroom gravy, real nice earthy savory note I get out of the 4. It's hard to explain, but it's got this refinement and this. It's almost like you could tell you're tasting antique. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I totally know what you mean. Okay, so we have more Ancnoc to taste for everybody tonight, y'all. I know it's a little early before the second hour, but you want to dive in?
Yeah, I'm going to pour a little bit while we're talking about it.
A little bit in the glass. The next one that we're doing tonight, this is Ancnoc, 18 years old, and we'll share a bit of tasting notes and everything good on this in just a few minutes.
See if I can.
Just, an 18-year-old whiskey, you're going to let it rest for a few minutes. There are some, including Ralphie, that says a minute in the glass for a year in the cask. I can appreciate that. So we'll let this sit for a few minutes as we get ready. But this is a real heavy hitter. And Telex, correct me if I'm wrong, you've not had this before, right?
I have not. I might have had the 12 at some point. I don't think I did, but if I did, I should have remembered that one. So I don't think I had the 12 either, but definitely never tried the 18.
Yeah. So while we let this rest in the glass, let me give you the rundown on the 18. So again, props to Noctu Distillery. I mean, we have a minimalist presentation here. This is their 18-year-old. Looks very similar to the 12 tube. However, important distinction here. Explicitly on the tube, it says non-chill filtered natural color. So we did not see that on the 12. And you remember earlier in the show when I mentioned I wanted to talk about the 24. So
yes.
The 24, which I do have here, also says non-chill filtered natural color here on the tube. So it's interesting that the 12 doesn't. I don't know why they chill filter and add fake colorant to the 12, but here we are. This one in particular, again, this is 46%. So we've bumped up 3% ABV, obviously a great thing. Not a ton of info, and they have a ton of tasting notes. They do say down here at the bottom, Ancnoc 18 was matured in Spanish oak ex-sherry and American oak ex-bourbon. So we're looking at a split. This is an ex-bourbon ex-sherry, which I think you will notice on the nose almost right away. Again, minimalist presentation, which I really respect and appreciate from them. As far as the bottle goes, it also says non-chill filtered natural color on the label.
Nice.
Same with the 24.
I think
it doesn't come to the maturation on the back or anything like that, but this is what we're looking at in terms of the 18 years old Ancnoc.
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't think they do the 12 is just because of the low ABV for the chill, for the chill filtration deal. Because half the people think that the chill filtration's bad. Some people think it's necessary so it's not cloudy and all that. But most of us that are purists, we don't want it to be chill filtered. But I think it's the reason why they do it. And the cost is probably another factor. With the 12 also being the for the coloring, I think it's because it doesn't have that sherry
exactly
the color balance to deal with. So I bet you that's the only reason. I think that's why you only see a little bit of coloring as far as like just like we talked about the straw yellow on the 12. So I think they're being at least sort of trying to be tasteful about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're in for a real treat here. We'll talk a little bit more about the 24 years old later in the show. Have you had the 24?
Oh yes, I love the 24. One of the first bottles I ever bought was the Ancnoc 24 back there.
Yeah, we'll definitely share our notes on the 24. Well, not our notes, but we'll definitely share some opinions on the 24 because, to be completely honest, the 24 is. There are some things you all need to know about it, and so we will disclose those for you tonight after we taste this 18.
It didn't take long to get through the bottle. We'll put it that way. It was one of the fastest 24-year-old bottles I think I've ever drank.
Yeah, no doubt at all.
It didn't take long to get through the bottle. I hear myself. It was one of the fast. Now it's done. Was that through your computer?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. It's gone now, thankfully. He said that Jim McEwen said that the 4 was his masterpiece, and I think he left after that. Wow, I can see why, man. Because when I had the 5, it wasn't like a letdown per se, but it definitely was not holding up.
2 more of these too, my friend.
You're so lucky.
4.1s, baby.
You're so lucky.
I opened this on New Year's last year, and let me tell you, it's next level.
Oh yeah,
put it on the top shelf, but those have all these ostentatious boxes, so I had to, make my choices wisely. But yeah, I have 2 more 4.1s. I'm hoping to last the rest of my life because they're that good.
Do they even give you a box with the Black Arts bottle?
Yeah, so they give you a tube. It's a tin tube. Looks like this.
I was gonna say
Black Arts, goth metal stuff. Almost it looks like. Which I appreciate, of course.
Me too.
4.1. It's 23 years old, unchill, natural. I think this one is at. What did they say this was at ABV? Have you had this one?
Yeah, I love it.
We should probably just do a tasting of it for old time's sake at some point. 49.2. So I mean that's his. They're naturally doing this one for sure.
Yeah, the 4.1 is one of my top 3 whiskeys of all time, I have to say.
Agreed.
It's surprisingly, it's not even peated, and I still love it, which is funny too.
I'm in the exact same spot. Well, shall we dig into the Ancnoc 18?
I stole a quick nose just in a drive by, and I was like, "Wow, you can tell the sherry in that right away."
Right. I will. I'll let you take lead on the nosing here, but yeah, we're gonna drop into Ancnoc 18. Let us know in the chat. Have you had Ancnoc 18? Have you had Ancnoc 24 for that matter? Let us know. Tell us your thoughts. We're gonna dive into it now. For the record, if you guys just joined, we did the Ancnoc 12 in the first hour, and 3.5s across the board. So Telex and I were both pretty impressed with the Ancnoc 12 for different reasons, but we landed in the same place.
Yeah, it's funny that's what's great about that dram to me is that no matter what you like, it can appeal to you in some fashion. You might have to play with the dram a little bit to get it to where you want, but that's not that big of a deal to me, you know.
Lucas says he can't wait to hear about the 18. Well, we're about ready to deliver it to you, homie. Thanks for listening, bud.
Yeah, the color looks beautiful, and I'm so glad it's natural on this one. Yeah, with the white background, you could tell it's got a really nice, pure, what you expect a good sherry cask to have.
Yeah.
But with the ex-bourbon too, it's not going to be the darkest thing in the world, but that's okay. It's got a nice viscosity. Didn't really talk about the mouthfeel coat or the mouthfeel of the first one, but it wasn't thin like a Glengoin. It wasn't like ultra waxy like a Kleinleach. It was kind of like nicely in the middle, I'd say.
You know what immediately strikes me about this? You can put your nose all the way in it and it doesn't burn. Unlike the 12, which was at lower ABV, you got the prickle and the burn. This one, like I don't even need to do the kind of professional nosing. I can really get into it, which is, of course, a testament to the fucking fantastic whiskey that this is.
Oh man, I got a really nice mixture of red and purple grapes together.
Yeah.
It's nice, spicy. Wow, the fruit in this is unbelievable. Some nice dates and some figs.
And again, intense minerality. Like there is a serious heaviness to this whiskey that belies the nose. Like the nose is still, I think, yeah, you're getting the darker fruits, but it's quite bright still. But there's this core of it that is just very mineral.
It was cool. You can still get the pears and apples in the back too. I think I like this one a lot because you can get both the ex-bourbon and the ex-sherry casks out of it, even on the nose. I can still pick the things that I liked on the 12, but with the sherry is unreal, and it's got to be Oloroso, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because it's ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, 46%, unchill natural.
It's got almost like a sweet, like port-esque factor to the nose, even though it's not port. It's got like I guess because I'm getting so many grapes out of this. I get the red grapes, the purple grapes, the white grapes. It's very grape forward.
Yeah, it really is.
But you also, I can get the strawberries and the raspberries, and it's like a fruit orchard in this thing. Like if you think of like literally mixed berry mode, but like good quality, this is what that is.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I get a heavy kind of like whetstone granite minerality to it. Like there is a nice heavy sherry note. I mean, this is significantly heavier on the fruit notes than the 12. The bourbon notes are still there, but they're super harmonious. In fact, they're almost playing second fiddle. Like they're kind of in the background. This is dominated by sherry and toffee. Like the toffee thing is probably the only thing that's coming through that I would say is influenced by the ex-bourbon cask. A lot of just there's dry fruit and then there's also ripe red fruit. So like we're looking at a good cask maturation here. Like probably some newer casks with some older casks. I mean, really. Oh, and there's There's almost like an earthy note to it, which I can't quite pin down yet. But
They do use the dunnage warehouses, kind of reminiscent to
yeah,
what Springbank does, and I think that's where you're getting that leather tobacco almost kind of. It's faint. It's like real.
yeah, leather. You nailed it. Yep.
It's like faint. It's not in your face like a Springbank would be, or even a Hazelburn. But this has got so much fruit going on to balance out the leather and all the florals, and it still has the
Yeah, the florals are there too, and this is much darker than a
hay.
Hazelburn. Yeah, it's denser than a Hazelburn.
Yeah,
All right.
which I like. Actually, I prefer this to the Hazelburn because it's got that more of that dense feel. The fruit in this is unbelievably good.
Yep. It's
And
fresh. It's dark. It's ripe. It's overripe. There's just so much. The overripe pear thing in this. If you think of those, what are those like the brown pears? God, I can't.
oh yeah,
It's that they're overripe, and you don't want to eat them because they're like mealy. But the smell of them has that rindiness to it. Like man, it's right here. Fantastic. All right, I'm gonna go in for a taste.
it's like a stone fruit. Oh man, it smells so good. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason this stuff doesn't fly off the shelves, man, is because no one knows what it is.
Exactly.
Wow.
Huge presentation.
And thankfully, it's got. I was wondering, I couldn't get any spice levels off the nose, but on the palate, it's not as. It's funny. It's not as spicy as a 12 is to me, but this one's got a little bit still there.
Yeah, I actually get a good amount of spice, like after the initial taste, as it develops. I mean, it's chill. It's more chili pepper than it is black or white pepper for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like rich toffee, milk chocolate, dark cherry. I mean, you're talking like
Man, you get chocolate covered cherries in this.
cordial to some degree, but like with dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate covering.
Yeah, I can't even say it. Dark chocolate cherry cordial is exactly
Yeah.
what that tastes.
And there's that minerality is still there and it's holding tight. But the difference between the 12 and this on the minerality note is in the finish. I noticed more of that alkaline minerality. With this, you notice it, but it's playing much more harmoniously with the toffee, slight butterscotch, milk, the dark chocolate, kind of deep red blackberry, currant, and then the fresh. I mean, there's just so much happening.
The bourbon casts in this are really good too, because I still get that thick molasses
Yeah.
caramel toffee. Oh man, I love how the bourbon and the sherry casks play with each other in this one.
Awesome.
This is one of the best. Man, this is one of the better whiskeys I've had in a while. The nose is unbelievable, as well as the taste, and it's neat, and I don't need to do anything with it. It's perfect. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need peat to be interesting.
Good point.
And it doesn't need smoke. I mean, it has kind of a, I don't know if I call it smoke maybe, but it's got like a nice,
Almost like charcoal.
yeah, dark profile.
Like,
I guess
maple. I don't know where to go with it, but you know what I'm saying. It has a bit of
smudge of smoke.
Yeah. Like it's like a sweet, almost barbecue, like very sweet, and it's faint though. It's in the background. It's not prominent. You get the cayenne, you get a little bit of the the herbaceousness you get off a dry rub. It's there, but it's very much in the background.
This has me curious. I'm going to pull up the 24 profile just to see what the similarities are. Because I tell you what, man, this is really good. And it's good enough for me to question, do I like this more than the 24? But I don't know. And the funny thing is that it's 46% on the 24 as well.
Yeah.
And it's also ex-bourbon, ex-sherry. So it's almost like they're taking the 18 and just aging it a little more maybe. Huh. Wonder if that's what they're doing. They're just putting it,
Yeah, I think that's the case. And in hindsight, I wish I would have sent you a 24 sample just so we could compare them. But I mean, at standalone, this is.
Sorry, I drank my 24 so fast. I just
I don't blame you. And I'm gonna share a little bit of my thoughts on the 24 after we do our final scores on the 18. But yeah, man, this I'll tell you this much: when I opened this neat on a live stream with who was it? Booze Dancing, and I think maybe even Swami was on there. I found this to be I did a tasting of the 12, the 18, and the 24. And given what they are, I mean, obviously, I think this is better than the 12. But given what they are, I thought this was actually the least impressive of the three. With oxidization and the amount of time it's been, which is probably close to 6 months, and I've been sipping it periodically, this has gotten exponentially better. It was just kind of tight and kind of finicky when I first opened it.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad you told me that. So if I ever do buy a bottle and the first, especially the neck pour, I better take that into account, because sometimes, like that Jura that we shared, that 21, man, the first drink of that, and I'm talking through like even past the neck, it was rough. It was so fucking spicy, man. It was one of the spiciest things. And I've had the Debilia dram from Tamdu, and that was the spiciest dram I've ever had. And that one was right up. I mean, the Debilia dram from Tamdu is a better spice. It's got more of like a cinnamon hot stick kind of feel to it. The spice on this one, that Jura, was like earthy nutmeg, cinnamon, in a mouthful kind of spice. But thankfully, once I got it to you and we shared it, it was so much better. It was kind of weird how that happened.
Yeah.
This sounds like it's a comparable dram like that, where you get a bottle, and once the first, maybe not the full first third, but the first like 1/8 of it, we'll say the first eighth of it might not be the best thing in the world.
Yep.
But I wonder if I want to try this out with a bottle that I know needs it. I want to get it like a true decanter and pour it out, at least like enough for maybe like half of it, a bottle, and let it decant like hardcore for a bit, then restill it and see if that would make it like fast track the oxidation of it.
Oh man, go with I just did about a half teaspoon of water on this, and oh my god.
Yeah, I put a couple of drops.
The cinnamon. And again, it's not tannic and overpowering. It's kind of a nice dry cinnamon. It's almost like cinnamon in a mulled wine. Again, like I was alluding to with this would have been on the happy hour when I was talking about the Edredar. My God, man.
The spice level, is definitely increased.
It moves from the pepper note, the chili pepper, which I was getting, because it has that slight tang to it, that slight acidity, which I would have, marked more as like a jalapeno, generic chili pepper, is gone with the water. And not necessarily a good or bad thing. It's just different. Now it's much more of a zesty. Again, you're like spice. You're talking like Spanish paprika with a little bit of that kind of like hammy smoke to it.
Getting a little bit of black pepper too in the back too. It's nice.
You are? Okay.
A little bit, but it's a perfect amount. It's just enough to be detectable, but not. We're definitely far away from Talisker level.
Yeah, and so just so folks in the chat know, I mean, this is a $120 to $140 bottle these days. Last year, this was in the $110 to $120 range, so it's went up a little bit, but this is still, I would say, value priced for an 18-year-old single malt Scotch. And boy, are we getting a lot with it.
It's unbelievable that you can get an 18-year for that price. I mean, basically, wow. I think I like it better neat, but I do like it with water too if I'm in the mood for more of a spicy kick, that's for sure.
Oh man, what water does to the palate is eerily similar to the 12. It really brings out the sugary sweetness. Honey, coffee, oak char.
It doesn't even need it. Yeah, it doesn't even need the boost. I know where you're going. It's true. It's funny. I like it neat, and I like it with the water too. Huh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide on which one I like better.
Oh man, that finish is so great. There's a black tea. You ever had like English black tea?
Yeah, also the Lapsang Souchong thing.
There's a bit of that going on. There's a nice dense coffee almond marzipan thing going on. Wow. The water almost brings out a little bit of another dimension on this to me.
Hmm.
I still think it's better neat, much like I thought with the 12, but it does have.
I'll agree on this one. On the 12, though, I definitely like the water better. But this one, I think I might like it neat better. But we'll see. I'm going back neat to see if how much the difference of the spice level it is. I love that nose neat because with the water, it took away the really deep caramel I was getting on the nose before.
Yeah.
Toffees and that bourbon cask kicks without the water. It definitely brings the sherry forward, I think, with the water. It's well balanced before you even mess with it, so that's the good thing. Man, I wish I had a bunch, like 3 bottles of the 12, the 18, and the 24.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
I'm having Ancnoc envy right now.
Yeah, Ancnoc, dude. And I hope folks in the chat who've not really had Ancnoc, I mean, are appreciating this. Like, most of y'all are kind of intermediate, probably in the single malt tasting, like Telex and I are. I mean, we're all on our journey. We're all learning stuff together. I'll tell you right now, I mean, this is a distillery you cannot pass up. And honestly, you need to jump on sooner than later because they are owned by the same company that owns Ball Blair, who rebranded and, in my opinion, castrated in many ways the goodness of what Ball Blair was doing.
Wow.
And also with Old Paltney, although I can't speak on the Old Paltney stuff because I've not had a lot, but they changed the range there. And, you know, I do fear that 2021, 2022, we may see some, you know, the explicit changes with the Ancnoc. And I would hate to because what we're working with right now, I think, is just stellar single malt whiskey.
But you haven't got to taste the new Ball Blair yet, have you?
No, but I mean, I've heard enough about it. And honestly, just the change from the vintage to the age statements makes me think, like, immediately, I think to myself, one of the unique things about Ball Blair was the vintage statements and that it was kind of released in this unorthodox way. Unfortunately, it appears that, you know, now they're just going for the base level stuff. So you're going to have a lot more just blended stuff together. It might not be as unique. I'm skeptical. Now, I've not had it, so I can't hate on it explicitly, but implicitly, the change did not land with me well.
Well, Thai Bev is waiting for all their vintage stuff to sell before they bring the new stuff to America. So I know what you're saying. I am skeptical too because I have heard similar kind of eerie stuff about the new stuff. But until one of us tries it, I have good thoughts about that Ball Blair 18, the new one, because I've heard good things as well. So hopefully it's one of those things where it just is going to take time to get to kind of know. The Old Pulteney, I do love their new the new 15. I think it was a
I haven't
whole
tried that. I've not tried it yet, and I do have the old 17 and the old 21. And so at some point, it might be fun to do a comparison between the 17 and the 18.
Yeah, the new 15 and new 18. I wasn't as much of a fan of the 18 as I was the 15 before, but this was at one of those expos, which is really tough sometimes to get your hands around a full whiskey when you're going through and trying 32 different ones. And I'm not joking about that. That's usually my typical number of drams. They're little bitty pours they give you at these things. But I'm looking forward to going back to that Old Pulteney 18 when I get my hands on that new one that we've got coming here in the next month or so. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I agree.
If you can find a 15, definitely pick it up if you don't mind the new 15.
I have it.
Oh, we already have it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I grabbed one recently, so we can definitely visit that. I also have a 13-year-old single cask Old
Ooh.
Pulteney, which would be a lot of fun.
Is it a new one or an old one, or do you know?
It's older a couple years, so we
Couple
can
of.
definitely do that.
Can you tell if it's in their new like makeup or if it's the
No, it's
old?
the old makeup. It's the old makeup.
Okay, cool. I was just curious. 13-year-old single cast, man, that sounds interesting. I wasn't a huge fan of the regular 12. I thought it was always a nice kind of a 3.25 out of 5 for me.
Yeah,
Is I like the briny maritime notes you get out of it, but other than that, I really didn't get a whole lot of the just the basic Old Pulteney stuff. But it is one of the better ones compared to like Scapa or some of the
hmm
other brands that you find, and you're kind of like, base 12 or NAS. What should I get? Definitely, I would go for the Old Pulteney versus one of those. So
yeah, I agree. So here we
mm,
are, Old Pulteney or Old Pulteney, Ancnoc 18. These were my samples, so I'll give you the floor to share your final thoughts, final score.
wow, adore this dram neat. It's unbelievably good. The sherry, the bourbon, and the sherry are stars. They don't fight with each other. They're well balanced. It's it's got the floral still from the 12. It's got the nice minerality. It's not bitter on this one at all for me, like the 12 was. Um, I love the spice level, the sweetness level. It's got a tinge of smoke, but it's not like much. It's just enough to be detectable.
Yeah.
The fruit in this is unbelievably good, and I'm surprised it's not a space side. That's how good the fruit level is in this one.
No, it is the space side.
Oh, is it? I thought they were
Yeah.
Highlands.
No, Ancnoc is space side. I'll confirm it, but yeah, feel free to continue. No, they're space side. They're in Aberdeenshire, so this is
That's
this
weird.
is
Distiller's got a misprint because they call them Highlands for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I don't think so. I think this is space side.
Okay, well, um, the it's still damn good, and I'm gonna definitely. This is much better than the 12 for me. I am eager to hear what Malt has to say about the 24 and some comparisons. It's got to be up there, man. This was definitely way above a 3.5, 3.75, 4.25. I'm feeling 4.25, I think, on this one.
Man, healthy score, dude. Healthy score. And
It's a really good dram. I mean, if I like it both neat and with water, and I can sip it like fast, I can sip it slow. I don't have to worry much about how I handle it, and it's already got the 46%. It's not chill filtered. It's not colored. It's got a great age statement on it. I mean, it's hard to bitch about that.
yeah, agreed. And honestly, I think it's funny. They're gonna folks are gonna think we coordinated this, but I'm right there with you with the 4.25. I think this is one of the better, and again, I take price into consideration. I think this is one of the better 18-year-old whiskeys you can get, bar none. I put this above probably. I mean, this is Bunnahabhain 18 realm for me.
Oh yeah,
In
great
terms
comparison.
of its quality and complexity level. I actually even think it's a tad better, which is, I never thought I would say that. I think I give the Bunnahabhain 18 a 4 out of 5. I absolutely love that. I love the, I'm thinking of other 18s that I love. I mean, I love the old Glenlivet 18, but for different reasons.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking about Allardyce, and I love the Allardyce, but it is a bit different. I'll be honest. This day and age, and again, this is said with a predicate of the sooner the better. This whiskey will not be in the 120 to 130, $140 range for long.
Right.
Immediately, if you can get your hands on this, you are in for an absolute treat. I am very comfortable with agreeing with Telex on the 4.25 out of 5 when value is taken into consideration. This is an absolute stunning dram. It has great complexity. It has clear craft. It is non-chill filtered. It is natural color. It is 46%. You cannot ask for more. I am thinking already about Glengoin 18, which is similar in distillation and yet has chill filtration and is 43% and is at the same price. So you be the judge.
I have judged.
Glengoin may have more name recognition to you. But if the choice is between this and that, this is a no.
Oh, by far, this kicks Glengoin's ass down the street and back, man.
Absolutely. And I would venture to say this is better than the 21 Glengoin.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair, but we will find out.
I don't think you're far off because I just recently did a quick sample of the Glengoin 21, and. Yeah. I will have to say I have to agree with you on this because this one to me is actually a little better.
Yeah, I mean this is a stellar dram. This is a diamond in the rough in a world where diamonds in the rough are increasingly hard to find. And buy the Ancnoc 18 without hesitation. I would go upwards of 140 on this without blinking an eye. 4.25 out of 5 for me. So Telex and I we've agreed on both of these. We're right in the same place on this. I hope you guys.
Well, it's hard to argue with a great dram, you know.
Yeah. So speaking
it's really hard to argue with.
Let me add a little, as I mentioned. Let me add a little bit more about the Ancnoc 24. So.
One second before you go there. The 18, yeah. I think what makes this whiskey stand out more than the Glengoin 21 and the other ones that we were talking about. This one, not only does it have a really good ex-sherry cask on it, this has got an equally, if not better, ex-bourbon cask with it. And I think that's what makes this whiskey shine way above all the other ones. Sorry, I just want to get that out there.
No, yeah. I mean, you're 100% right. Ancnoc 24. So we're talking 6 years older than this 18. Same maturation. It is also 46%. It is also non-chill filtered. It is also natural color. As I've been alluding to on my show for the last couple of weeks, I'm going to do an early release of my top 5 whiskeys of the year to Patreon supporters. If you're interested in supporting the show on Patreon, it is patreon.com/maltmuserwhiskey. But outside of that, I want to just take a moment to just plug this because I know the folks in the chat tonight are whiskey connoisseurs, and I'm going to tell you this right now. This whiskey is one of the best values you can ever get in a over a 20-some-year-old whiskey. The Ancnoc 24 on average USD right now, if you're in a state that ships, is $220, and it is unequivocally worth it. This is a $300 whiskey masquerading itself at about $80 to $100 cheaper. I got this bottle in specific for $200.
Wow, man, that's crazy!
Absolute steal, y'all. like what you just heard about the 18. Take that to the next level and talk about deeper. Treacle note, as the people in Britain say, or in our like molasses, heavy bourbon notes. Take that and extend it to a long finish. The sherry notes are there. They're even drier. They're even more complex. This is an absolutely stellar dram for folks who are tuned in. This will appear in my top 5 whiskeys of the year. I won't tell you where, but it's going to. I absolutely highly recommend you buy this on site. If you ever see it less than $230, I would even go $250 if you're feeling better. I even dropped the 2 for it, but this takes the 18 to like an exponential level, and I really strongly recommend. This is a diamond in the rough, y'all. You may not know Ancnoc. You may be skeptical. I'm telling you, buy this without hesitation. You will thank us if you do. It's an absolute stellar whiskey. If you can't find this, grab the 18. Again, no hesitation. It's fantastic whiskey.
Yeah, that one to me was a 4.75 easy out of 5. The only reason I didn't give it a full 5 was the ABV could be a little higher, but that, I mean, that's, you're really pulling strings when you do,
Yeah,
the 4.75 tells you it's a classic. You've got to have it without a doubt.
absolutely. I mean, we're in a world where, God, that 18 is good. We're in a world where increasingly high quality, heavily aged whiskeys, especially single malts, are being priced out. I mean, Telex. I mean, you can probably attest to this. I remember 2 years ago when a bottle of Talisker 18 or 18 Glendronach Aldis. I mean, this was a $120 whiskey.
Yeah.
Now, good luck finding it for less than 170. I mean, that's the world we live in. So when you have something like Ancnoc, which is a distillery that, again, flies under the radar, most people don't necessarily know about it. Selling a 24-year-old whiskey around the $200 range, like buy it without hesitation. Don't even think twice. Just grab it.
I
You will be
agree.
in for a total treat. It's absolute stunner. And if you can't find that, again, we've just both given high accolades for this 18-year-old. It's killer, man. It's killer. This 18-year-old is, again, top 3 18-year-old single malt scotches I've ever had. And I'll just be honest about it. That's where I'm at. This
Yeah,
is Grunehaven 18. I mean, Lafroig 18 territory.
that's true. And I liked your comparison with the Bunnahabhain 18 with the Ancnoc 18. I thought that was a really good, because they're really close as far as quality, complexity. It's close, but the Ancnoc 18, man, it might edge it out. I have to. It's been so long since I've had the Bunnahabhain 18. I'll have to get another bottle at some point. It's a good excuse to get another one, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I don't think there's any reason not to. It's stellar. I mean, even in the minutes that you and I have been psychobabbling, like I go back to it and I'm just like, God damn, that's good.
It makes me want to try some of their other stuff. Like the first Enoch taste I ever had was that flounder, and I tell you what, it was not good, and it was not good only because of the style of the peat or the barley they were using threw me off. When I came back and I had another opportunity to try it, it was it might have been the 24 actually, and that just knocked my socks off. And then having the 12 and the 18 now, and I got had my hands on the cutter, which is a different style of peat, and that one's pretty good too. It's not readily available anymore like it used to be, but they have one called Peat Heart, which is
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's supposed to be like super high ppm, blah blah blah. Like I want to try it. I have not delved into the cutter or the what's the other one that was the peated whiskey that they made.
outer.
I've not had either of them, but they have a new one. Yeah, the Peat Heart, which I would love to get my hands on.
I wish I knew what. If anyone has anyone had the peaty or the I'm sorry, not the peaty, but the peat heart, and if you have, what kind of style peat was it? Was it reminiscent of the cutter or the flounder? If you've had either one of those, I'm kind of curious. They had that peated sherry, man. I gotta know if that's any good. I'm hoping it's not exclusive retail only. I don't think it is, because thankfully they have some of their stuff marked travel retail. I think the 16 and the peated sherry are normal offerings now, like current. I'm not sure.
I've not seen. I mean, I just don't. Unfortunately, I've not ran into any of them. But God, I would love to.
Especially that peated sherry. If it's anything like the like an Ugadal or something reminiscent like a Choi Chikada or something like that, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
The only thing that makes me nervous is only 40%, so that tells me it's probably not going to be the greatest. Come to think of it, I just saw the ABV. I'm like, oh man, don't ruin it for me. But you never know, because that 12, even though that 43 was still good with the drop. So the Peat Heart looks like it's 46, which is a bit better.
Yep.
And it's at 40 ppm, so that's really close to like an Ardbeg level of peat, like the Ardbeg 10 is comparable to that. So that would be pretty good for a try, I think.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't say enough about the dude, I wonder if this Ancnoc, these older Annocs are part of a small group of the last whiskeys that you're going to be able to get that are high ABV, or I mean high age and at a good price. I mean, we're just moving into a world where they're just getting increasingly more expensive.
Well, hopefully, it's kind of funny because part of me wishes that we go back into the era where bourbon and whiskey is not as popular as like gin and vodka and other liquid. The problem though with that is once you see that start happening, then you start seeing distilleries actually close up completely, which we don't want either. So it's trying to find that balance of, yes, we want the distilleries to make money and be cost effective and be able to run their deal and make a profit, but at the same time, we don't want them charging over $180 for an 18-year-old whiskey when it's not justified. And I'm looking at you, Dalmore.
Dalmore. I mean, Dalmore is,
I mean, I don't hate them, but it's just some of the stuff.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. I mean, like I had a Dalmore independent bottling once, a 15-year-old. I mean, and again, I mean, this is the same with Bowmore, where it's like you look at an independent bottling and you look at their bottling, you're like, why is the color so different? Oh, it's because they're not putting 5 gallons of colorant in it,
Yeah, and the quality is just better with some of these independent ones too. It's almost like maybe you guys should just make the whiskey and give it to somebody else to actually distribute for you. It seems like, because evidently the independent guys are doing it better than the actual distilleries on some of these. Like you mentioned, the Bowmore is another one.
Yeah,
it's really sad when you got to get to that level to me, because I would much rather go and buy a nice Bowmore 21 or 18 and be happy than have to find that boutique whiskey company or
right.
Some weird signatory vintage Gordon MacPhail's or whatever it is, Alexander Murray, all that kind of stuff. It gives me a headache just thinking about all these independent bottlings sometimes, but it's good to have the option, I have to say. I guess eventually you get tired of the same old offerings from a distillery, and you want to see what someone else can do with a good cask or a good, just good aged whiskey.
Oh, I think I lost you.
I see you. I'm here, but I think your audio. I think your audio is there, but your video died. There it goes. It's back.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I actually need to sign off a little bit early tonight, unfortunately. So I'm going to leave you a little high and dry. But it has been, it's been a lot of fun tasting these Annocs, man. And I hope everybody enjoyed this. As I mentioned on my happy hour, but I'll mention again, like I'll be off next week, but Telex and I will be back for Tasty Tuesday on the 29th. And you might have a show going on. You'll probably do something over the next week.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting out some just old bottles that need to be killed. So I'm going to have like just a bottle kill hour. So bring your heels with you. We're going to go through some heels and share the good and the bad and the ugly.
Perfect. Yeah. And if you haven't yet, take a second. Hit the thumbs up on our video. We've been doing this since COVID, and we're going to continue this into 2021, COVID or not.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much fun, and we really enjoy chatting with all of y'all and tasting samples. And if you haven't subscribed to Telex, the Whiskey Tech, subscribe to Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. And with that, I do need to hop off a little early, but appreciate the time with everybody. And since I won't see you next week, for those who are celebrating Christmas or other holidays, man, have a blessed holiday, man. Love you all. Keep yourself safe, wear a mask, all that jazz. And I will be dropping a review on Christmas Day, or maybe the day before, but we'll be back doing live streams on the 29th. So y'all take good care, man. Bless you all. I hope you get to spend good times with your family and friends and those you love. It is that time of the year. We've had a crazy, horrible year, and better days are ahead. So be blessed, everyone. Love y'all.
And I have to thank you for the great dreams tonight. And we'll be looking at the Lafroig, the 18 white bottle, the green bottle, and also a 25 when he returns on the 29th. So that's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, man.
That'll be like our official Christmas sort of post-Christmas show.
Yeah, totally, totally. All right, man. Everybody stay safe, be well. I'm going to sign off and Telex, man, much love. Have a great holiday, buddy.
You too, man. I'll see you.
Later.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys had a good time with the both of the Ancnocs. If you, I'm not sure if anyone. I tried to see if anybody's ever had them. I don't know if anyone's ever tried them or not. But yeah, the Tamant 18 is definitely railroads and trumps the Dalmore. I have to agree with you on that one. Definitely price wise, you can get the 18 for like $94 here, which is crazy low for an 18. I'm not sure if it's tasty because the Dalmore 18 is a tasty one. I just don't like all the stuff they do to it. Let me go back here and try to catch up with some comments. But if you guys have had the Ancnoc 12 or the 18, let me know and what you thought of it as well. The only 18 I've had is the Glenlivet. I said before here, really liked it. Yeah, you probably had the old version. The new version, it's not as good because they lowered the ABV down to 40. I'm not sure why, but that was my beef with it. It's still a 3.75 out of 5, but the old one was more of a 4 to 4.25 out of 5. Uh, the only Glenlivet I had was the French Oak. Yeah, that's a good pour. I like the 15. I like the 12 even. Above Balbler 99 somewhere. Well, that is a great dram. If it's a second release, it's even better. I love that second release of that 99. That's one of my favorites of all time, actually. No, it a little bit uses 3% more alcohol content. Yep, that would. I'm not sure why they went backwards. Yeah, the 15 could use a little more ABV. I agree with you on that one. I had the Neapolitan 15 quite yummy. Went down pretty fast. Yeah, that was my favorite of the new line, even compared to the 18 and 25, which is kind of sad, but I really like that 15. I haven't had many scotches at 43, probably just the Lagavulin 16 and the Dalwhinnie 15. But really noticed the difference from 40 to 43. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the Lagavulin 16 is decent, and the Dalwhinnie 15 is decent at 43. But yeah, if they were 46, it might even be better. I wish there was an option for that, but for Rose's Yellow Label at 40, it did taste watered down. Ew. I don't think I've ever tried that one. Yeah, I've actually read it before that sweetness. Don't really know. I just think the Glenlivet 15 is too bad sweet, huh? Yeah, it's been a while since I've had it too, and I had it at a bar the first time. Second time I had it was in like a flight of something or other, but still pretty good. But yeah, I mean the ABV is probably not where it should be on that. A couple of old 17s, it's really good. The new 15 is like the old 17, in my opinion. Even the 21, old 21, the 15 is like that line, that 17 and 21 of the old, the 15's closer to that. The new 18 just didn't do it for me, but we're going to try it again here in the next couple months to see if it was just maybe the bottle or maybe it was a neck pour. It was at an expo, so you got to be careful about those sometimes. The old 17 was better for sure, but the new old 15 is pretty enjoyable. Yeah, I agree on that one. I think the last bottle I bought at 17. They still have the old 17 if you look for it. It could be a little pricey at like 130 for the 17, 130 to 140, I think is what I've seen it for. But you can still find it, believe it or not. It's still out there. What is the cheapest scotch you can get that has notes of chocolate? Not very smoky, not sweet, not oily. Well, so you want chocolate, but not smoky or sweet or oily. Cheapest scotch that has a really basic profile where it's mostly like a not sweet chocolate. That's a tough one, man. I'm thinking. I'm trying to determine where I would steer you on that one. The closest thing I could think of, man, the cheapest thing is what's throwing me off. It's hard to get cheap and get a flavor like a good dark chocolate without sweetness or oil or smoke. Does anybody have a good answer for him? I'm curious. Got the Glengoin Px11. That sounds really good. Cast strength barrel store pick. Douglas Lane from Candle Wines. Okay. What'd you think of that one? Did it have a nice mouth coat? Because the cast strength should raise the ABV, so therefore it should not be one of the thin Glengoyns that you kind of run into inside. As your R12 Caledonia may fit the bill. That would be a good call. That's a good one. I'll definitely listen to review $100 or below if you are used to drinking over $150 bottles. Well, to review, I mean, I don't mind reviewing bottles that are under 100 because I am used to spending 150 to 200. But if you mean like to drink, that's a different story. I mean, thankfully there's still a lot of good under $100 bottles out there. Ugadal is one of them. You can still find it for under 100. Sometimes the Quaverken, even if you're lucky, it is closer to 1 to 110, but it's a lure. Laphroaig lure is one of those that you can get for under 100 if you do your homework. I have seen it as high as 130 to 140, but I have seen it as low as 80 to 90. So Lagavulin 16 is another one that you can usually find for under 100 if you do your homework. But you have to be willing to do some research. And some brands in certain areas sell a lot higher. Like here, Glendronach is not a brand you want to try to buy in Maryland. It's way overpriced. It's like $50 more than what it should be on the high-end bottles and $20 to $30 more on the 12 year ones, 15 years. So you got to take that into account when you're looking at prices. Yeah, I think I agree with him. Silver Luck on the Caledonia, the 12. Eric Waite recently did a review of the Pete Heart. Okay, I'll look that up. Thanks for the heads up on that and see what he thought about it. Also, it's important if you are looking at reviews from people. This is a really good example of this. Like, I know as far as Ancnoc peat that I'd like the cutter, but I dislike the flounder. I don't know what the real big difference in the peat is on those two, but I have to figure out what Eric likes. If I find a review like the Pete Heart, but I also have to look for other reviews he's done, like the cutter or the flounder, and see what he thought. Because if he liked the ones that I didn't like, then that tells me that I might not like the ones that he's liking on this review, or vice versa. If he didn't like it, but also didn't like the kind of peat that I usually like, then yeah, I got to take that into account. So it's something to definitely keep in the back of your mind when you're looking at reviews from other people. Finished spicy dry sprinkled with dusting of cocoa. Yep, I think you would like that one. No problem. I appreciate everyone helping each other out on the channel. That's what it's all about, really, for me. Come on, 18, yes. Also the 30. We're looking at, I've got my little wish list that I've been looking at with malt on the side. My next grouping is going to be, I'm looking at the Bunnahabhain 25. I'm looking at the Edgerdar 12. I'm looking at the Old Pulteney 18 and the Tomatin 18, but maybe the 30, depending on the price we can find. Because I have seen the 30 go for less than $300. So if that's the case, then that might actually be a good deal. Only have had the 12, not the 18. Don't even need to have the 18. Well, I'm not trying to get you to get the 18 because I think it's way overpriced. But if you can get a tasting of the 18 bin, definitely don't turn it down because it is a good whiskey as far as taste is concerned. I don't like the craft and I don't like the price, but I do like the taste of it. So I'm curious to see if you can ever get your hands on a reasonably priced or a free like tasting or part of an expo or something. Maybe you can try it that way. It's definitely worth a look, as well as the King Alexander. We're going to see a lot of distilleries closing in the U.S. because there's a 2,000 less now than 10 years ago, and there was a few hundred oversaturated, no true market for it. Yeah, in the U.S., I'm not surprised though. I hate to say, even as a Kentuckian, I'm like, leave the whiskey to the Scots, but that's a whole other thing. Um, I guess without our bourbon barrels, though, they wouldn't be able to have all the great ex-bourbon casks and whatnot. So it kind of goes hand in hand, but leave the whiskey to the Kentucky distilleries. Put it that way. Yes, Bottle Kill. We'll be doing a Bottle Kill episode on the next show, and I've got a few that I've got to go through and have a little fun with. Killed a beautiful bottle of the single cast strength last week, and that is a great one. I love the single cast strength bottles of Kilhoman, no matter which distillery or uh, business it comes from. They have really good deals with Jack Rose, Country Vintner. I've had a few, and they're always really good. Yep. Hopefully, Eric will be having fun in Wisconsin this next week. I'll be still staying here at the Casa. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Froggy 25th and the 29th. Yep. Got like good old Froggy, that's for sure. Merry Christmas to you guys, definitely. You probably get this, but you look a lot like Shaq. It's almost scary. I wonder who he's referring to. If he's talking about me, I don't know if I look like anything like Shaquille O'Neal. I doubt it. Haven't had any Ancnoc yet. Well, we had to get you some in. 40. Weird. Yes, 40% is horrible. No, they lowered it. I think the new one's 40, or it was 46, and they dropped it to 43. They dropped it one way or another. I know that with the Glenlivet 18 is what we're talking about earlier. I got my Dalmore 13 single barrel Hepburn's Choice can a one store pick last week. Haven't opened it. Not heavy sherried, refilled hogshead. Dalmore 13 single cask. Sorry, cast strength single barrel. That sounds great. I bet that's pretty good, even if it's not heavily sherried. If it's got a really good, is it an ex-bourbon cask, or do you know what the what type? If it's not sherried, I'm assuming that it's ex-bourbon, or maybe Spanish oak or something. Have not opened the Glengoin 11 yet. Got the Mortlock 13 single cask. Wow. You're getting a lot of these store picks. That's good, though, to get these single barrels at cast strength. Waiting to receive the Bunnahabhain cast strength from. Wow. I should look into KLL a little more often, see what they have on some of those independents, it looks like. I'm thinking reviewing a Scotch should be about what the reviewer likes rather than the flavors that are discovered. I think reviewing a Scotch should not be about what the reviewer likes rather than. Yeah, that's what's sometimes tough. I think that's why when I was fighting with the Ancnoc 12, even though it wasn't my cup of tea, I could not take away from its grandeur. It's a 3.75 to 5 easy, even with me not loving it with the neat, but balance is one of those things that reviewers have to be kind of conscious about as well. So that's why I kind of had to nick it a little bit, but it's pretty good. Do you swear? Sometimes. It depends. If it's, I don't believe in just swearing for the hell of it all the time. If I'm into something, like, if I'm passionately, talking about something, then it might just come out. And that's just the way it is. This is this channel is not for kids, and I've already told YouTube that. We'll put it that way. What flavors are discovered? I mean, yeah, that's why I try to focus on flavors and levels of minerality, bitterness. Like if it's a rind, or if it's like a grapefruit thing, or because even though I don't like grapefruit, someone else might love it, and that's why I try to hesitate when I'm doing reviews, talking about some of those subjective things that kind of get in the way. But okay, so no more of those Edgedoor barrel picks at cast strength. But I did just buy a 12-year Edgedoor Madeira matured, not finished. Yeah, maturation is what you want if you can get rather than a finish. I think real pick cast strength bottle. Wow, I bet that is really really good. Yeah, if you ever are looking at bottles and you find a matured versus a finished, go for the mature, man. Good friend of mine, Rick recommends the Dalmore 15. Um, the if you're talking the straight up distillery bottle, I mean, I would pass. I would go for. I would save it if you're gonna. This is the way I look at it because I do have I have a Dalmore 15 back here. Actually, I went through a while back. If you're gonna get a Dalmore, get an independent bottling. If you're not collecting distilleries, if you're like myself, I wanted to get a nice distillery bottle and then go for the independent afterward. I think me getting the 15 was a mistake. I should have saved up and went for the 18. Um, Anything above the 18 price wise is just insane. It's asinine. Don't even go there. Um, but the 18 is great taste, great age, not big on the craft, but I'm thinking that for the bang for the buck, and if you're going to get one Dalmore official bottle, that's the one I would go for, either the 18 or the King Alexander, and call it a day. I wouldn't not bother with the 12, the 15, or any other thing, um, unless you've got money to shell out for like a Constellation or something crazy like that. But I keep missing these. Well, welcome, Whiskey Ace. If you mean you just showed up, that's okay. You're never too late to the party. We might just go on for a little longer anyway. Been busy the last few Tuesdays. Yeah, I know how it goes, man. I do like my bourbon and rye. No, that's cool. I know how it goes. Hey, I think you have worked enough tonight, man. I need to talk to you, Stephen, about that Ben Nevis 21 or whatever age official distillery bottle you've got. So send me an email with what price you need for that and how we can work something out, because I would like to get my hands on a good, great official bottle, aged Ben Nevis, not afraid to, you know, go toward that. I wish I had more access to Scotch. Me too, man. Because if you all you have is access to bourbon and rye, the rye part's great. The bourbon, it's okay, but Scotch is where it's at. uh, Ordering is, if I guess it depends on your state. What state are you in whiskey? I'm just curious. Whiskey Ace. Have you tried your Ancnoc 21 yet? I've had a sample last year from an Evan calendar. Would like to hear more info. Have a triple wood open now, which is great for value. I like the triple wood actually a bit more so than some others, but I like a spicy sweet dram, and that's what the triple wood is for me. It's got a nice hit of that molasses, thick, gooey toffee pudding. It's got some good stuff to it. Is it well refined, or it is triple distilled and all that kind of stuff? So that is where you get caught up. I don't want to take away from the review that's coming up soon. We'll be looking at the Ancnoc 21. It's a decent dram. I don't want to go too far into the weeds. Did it blow me away? No. Was it bad in any way? No. It was one of those kind of decent, solid drams that I'm looking forward to getting you a review on soon. So stay tuned. We're going to be looking at, I know he's got the American Oak, and I've got a 21 that we'll be looking at soon. So have to stay tuned. Hey, good to see you there, Swami. He had to jet a little earlier. Oh, this one? Do you know where this is from, Malted? You might actually recognize it because this is from a Canadian company, actually. Do you know what this insignia is from? Probably not, but you might. You are into some of the stuff that I'm into. I'll give you a hint. It's from a music instruction company. We'll put it that way. And they are Canadian based. I won't tell you the province yet, though. I think these K&L are refill sherry hogsheads, but not very dark stuff. I found with it because it makes a good distillate. I want to taste this stuff without being a sherry bomb. Good point, and that is kind of a rough line you have to walk, as sometimes you get into these sherry bombs and the spice level / the If it's high ABV, the kick from that, there's all these things going on. Sometimes you definitely want your sherry, but you don't want it so much over just in your face that you don't get some of the other things that are going on with the whiskey. So I don't know. Sometimes I do like a good just flat sherry bomb in your face too, like an Abelard or Albanar or something like that, or like a Glentronic, one of those old school single cask, high ABV, 50, 57.6 kind of thing. It's a tough one, man. Yeah, run from the Delmore 15. Like I said, I think that that's just crazy overpriced. I never had a high proof Delmore or Martlock, so this should be different. Yeah, if it's independent, I think you're going to be in good shape. It was at a store in the EU, but gone now. I'll be on the lookout for you. I'm not selling it mine right now. Oh, you bastard! That's fine. I'm just being hard on you. Yeah, if you see a good deal for any, like, hopefully it's 21, 18 minimum, but 21 be preferable. A Ben Nevis distillery bottle, that would be something I will jump all over, man. Oh, you're in PA. Okay. Which city in PA are you, Whiskey Ace? 'Cause that makes a big difference because Pennsylvania is a big state, and you can get to a lot of other states within ease from Pennsylvania that do deliver, i.e., Maryland being one. DC is great about getting deliveries. Virginia, not so much because they have the same store crap that Pennsylvania's got with the whole ABC liquors thing. New Jersey is an option, and Delaware is an option. So you do have options. Mahir, good to see you. I don't know if I've seen you earlier, but good to see you either way. I've been hearing about the Japanese whiskey lately. Japanese whiskey is different than Scotch. It's good quality whiskey. I do like it. I've had some great ones. I've had some so-so ones, just like with Scotch. Um, it's a bit overpriced on some of these because of the fact that um, after Scotch got really big here in the last 10 years, Japanese whiskey was one of those things that popped up right afterward. The Yamazaki 18 is a good, representation of what happens when whiskeys just go crazy with their prices and inflate beyond belief. Kind of the same thing that happened with the whole old, Pappy Van Winkle crap in Kentucky. So keep that in mind. But Nika is a good option. If you find a Nika, they usually do pretty decent whiskey. Ichibu does good stuff. There was a newer one that a friend of mine gave me. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. Oh man, it's been a while. I apologize for forgetting, but trying to think of some of the others. The Nika is the Takasuru. Stuff is great. Hibiki is a really, really good one. That's one of my favorites. I was lucky enough to have the 21 and a little bit younger one, and they were both just unbelievably good. But the Nika Takasuru, the 21-year pure malt, didn't really do a whole lot for me. So even though some of the older Japanese whiskeys, you have to be careful with them. The Hibikis I like better. The Ichibus I like better. The Nikas are decent. I think it started with a K. There was one that was pretty decent. I had it with. I think it was like let me try to look it up. Kikio or something like that. Ki. It was Kaiko. I'll find it. That might have been the one. Or Kaiyo. Yeah, that's the one. Kaiyo. I'm assuming they were a newer one that I tried. I don't know if they're a newer distillery or not, but they have some Mizunara oak whiskey going on. They've got different sherried whiskeys. Um, they seem to be pretty decent, and one of the newer guys on the prowl. So that's something to keep an eye on. Oh, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Ohio. Yeah, if you're near those states, then if you're closer to Pittsburgh, that makes it tougher. Man, that sucks. I was hoping you were more close to my neck of the woods, because if you were, then you got Delaware, you got Maryland, and those states are, and DC, and those states are really easy to get to. But from Pittsburgh, it's a bit of a drive. 'Cause I've driven to Butler, PA, and that's right next to Pittsburgh, and that's a good 4 hours from here, man. Wow. Maybe you can get a friend that can help you out. That's that's the only thing I could think of what to do when you're in that situation. Loved your rant last week on how bourbon prices are out of control and a bunch of ripoffs are all over the market now. Yeah, that's a sad state. That's why I'm hoping that whiskey in general goes out of fashion, but not to the point where they start closing distilleries, but enough to get the prices under control. That's what I'm hoping for. The East Side has much better options for sure. Yeah. Yeah, he had to take off a little earlier, about I think it was about 10:40 or so. No worries. It's just that they taste like Scotch, but I was inquiring about Scotch, and someone said a good whiskey is Japanese whiskey, so that just threw me a bit. Yeah, I mean, there's good on both sides. You can get a great Scotch, you can get a shitty Scotch, you can get a great Japanese whiskey, you can get a shitty Japanese whiskey. It's it's just like, bourbon, and just like any other thing, just like tennis shoes. You can get a great pair of tennis shoes, you can get some shitty ones too. So it's just a matter of finding out, what do you like as far as, what ABV. Do you like the thinner 40, 43, 46% stuff? Do you like the higher end 48, 50, 55, 60% ABV? Do you care as much about age? Do you like a young peated, whiskey more? Do you like sherried whiskey at all? Do you like the Mizunara stuff? Because that's tough to get outside of Japan, when you're talking about their specific type of oak they've got. But it costs a lot more for that. So you got to take the cost into account when you're looking at Japanese versus Scotch, because it does run higher on the Japanese side for some whiskeys. For the more aged stuff, it's, Enoch 24, like we said, is 220, 225, great price, great whiskey. You can't get a Yamazaki 18 for that, I don't think. What the hell is that going for now? Probably like $500. Is it Yamazaki, I think is how you say it? Yamazaki 18. And I'm just doing a quick price check. Yeah, I mean, the cheapest, and that's like the cheapest like 680 in the Netherlands. In the United States, they went like $1,100 for it. In Scotland, $1,100 for it. I mean, that's just insane. And that's for an 18-year-old. I mean, that's like, I don't even, I can't even. It's making my head hurt just thinking about how bad that is. I've heard Suntory Toki is also a good budget blend. Yeah, Suntory, Beam Suntory. They also, I think, have. Are they the people that own Nika? I can't remember if they're a holder of them, or if which brands they control, but that's cool. I've always liked Scotch flavor best of any drink I've ever had. Yeah, but this, when you say Scotch flavor, you have to be more specific on the Highland Scotch flavor, the Space side, which is like the Highland is more floral, the Space sides are usually more fruity, the Islas are more peated. This is not a rule, but just kind of like a typical thing. The Campbelltowns have a little more funky stuff going on with them. What is your favorite Scotch flavor? And then I could tell you if you're going to even think you're going to like Japanese. Japanese Scotch is, sorry, Japanese whiskey is the closest to Space side, I'd say, for Scotch because of the fruit. But Japanese whiskeys tend to be delicate. They feel more fragile. They have more florals. They have their fruits are like your light, delicate, like your cherries, your pears, but it's there's a lot of florals going on with them at the same time. So if you like Space sides, then you might, but yeah, they're extremely overpriced. Just like my hair said here is good. That's a good point. Yeah, Nika from a barrel. It's a decent. That's what I would start with if I was if you're looking to get into Japanese whiskey. I would start with Nika from the barrel, or the Nika coffee green. is another good one. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones I've had that I liked. I would stay away from the Takasuru stuff, overpriced, really delicate. I mean, very. I mean, it's refined, but it's not much power going on with that one for me. Tokyo is super light. It was made for high end highball drinks. Too light for me. Yeah, that's the thing with some of these Japanese whiskeys. They're extremely light. Okay, Asahi. Okay, I love their beer too. But with sushi, they've got great beer, extra dry. Thoughts on the Michter's toasted barrel by barrel strength? Daniel, I do not typically go into the. I typically stay away from bourbon and rye on reviews. I don't tend to buy a lot of this stuff either. I've never tried this one, Michter's Toasted Barrel Rye. It's if it's barrel strength, Michter's. I've had their stuff. I do like it. I'm trying to remember if what type of rye I had from them. I had a rye, but it wasn't a toasted barrel strength deal. So the basic one I like. I have not tried that one. If I do see it, I will see if I can get my hands on one though. But with everything being locked down and not being able to go out, there's a place I know that would probably have this on the ready. Foxton in Annapolis is a really good pizza joint that's got really good bourbon and rye, so I probably would try it there. But unfortunately, it's not an option with this COVID crap going on. So maybe Malt's tried it, so he might be a one to hit up to see what he thinks on that one. I just when you taste Scotch, you know it's Scotch, just in a nutshell. Yeah, it does have its own feel. And Japanese whiskey is like that too. Like there's sometimes I'll have a scotch and I'll be like, wow, that's really reminiscent of a Japanese whiskey, or vice versa. But typically it's more of the scotch tasting like a Japanese whiskey more so than the other way around. Um, so that's the thing. If you like Space Side, you like fruit, sweet, light, delicate, floral whiskey, then you'll like Japanese whiskey. If you're not into that kind of thing, you're probably not going to like it as much. Yeah, Yoichi. I've heard of that. I don't think I've tried that one. I've heard of that being good. Toasted rye is super unique. Good rye. If I could, you can get a Victor's toasted barrel, crazy marked up. Hmm. Like for instance, I doubt there would be any other whiskey that would have the Scotch whiskey flavor. Um, the basic distillate, yeah. The reason is, and it depends on the distillery, like I said, where there are. But a lot of them have that really great maritime goodness in that goes for the islands. There's some in the Highlands, Isla. I mean, all over Scotland, it's really a lot easier, I think, to get the briny maritime seashell funky feel in some whiskey than others. You will never get that from a Japanese, and you will never get that from a Kentucky or any other non-bourbon American. The closest thing I ever had was that one in Oregon, McCarthy's, I think it's called. They have a good. That's probably my favorite so far American outside of Kentucky distillate that I tried was that one that was up in Oregon. It kind of reminds me of a Lagavulin 16 because they use Scottish barley there, but it doesn't taste like a Lagavulin 16. It's a bit different, but for the price, it's actually pretty good. And we recently. Stephen Connor, Mead Mule. You might know Mead Mule. If you don't know him, check him out. Get his channel, subscribe, thumbs up, like that type of thing. He looks into all these type of things as well, and it threw him for a loop. He was surprised of actually how good it was. They go for like 800 on secondary. That is crazy, man. $79 when it first came out. So they're basically marking it 8 times the price, man. That is insane. Poured a rye of all things, my first one of the night. What did you go with, Steven, out of curiosity? Japanese whiskeys interest me a lot, but the prices really ruin it for me. I prefer Scotch for that very reason. Yeah, they are good, but are they worth the price? And that's where you have to, like, put your foot in the middle sometimes to prevent yourself from overspending on some of these things, because it's really easy to overspend on Japanese whiskey. And it's easy to do the same thing with Scotch, depending on the brand. So that you have to, think about that as well. I just won it on a raffle yesterday. Got it retail, so I'm pouring it. Wow, what was that he got? I'm going back. Oh, the toasted barrel. Gotcha. Wow, that's quite a raffle you got there. It smells amazing. $800. Yeah, maybe you should have not opened it. You gotta love that when you get something and you win it and you thought, oh, this might be pretty good. I'll do me a little drive-by sniffer, and then find out you're sniffing $800 whiskey. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh, but that's my kind of luck. I would do the same thing, so don't feel too bad. Maybe they released a second batch. Well, I'll be honest with you. There is everything in this house is opened. The longest I've gone with not opened a bottle is an Ardbeg 19. I still have a Travan, which is the first batch, and I've not opened it yet. I might open it next week. If you guys help me enough, I might open that one for like a quick drive-by review kind of thing. Retail, wow, man, $90. That is crazy. 3 years ago, very unique. Wow. I like Speyside Highland Scotch. Not into the Isle of Smoke and that. Yeah, yeah. If you like Speysides and Highlands, then it might worth venturing into Japanese whiskey, but just be careful in the price. If you can, start at under 100. Try around 80. If that's not out of your price, I'm not sure what your price range is, but go for about 80 to 90. Keep it around there first. Try to find the best priced, bottle you can, the best bang for your buck for around 80 or 90, and see what you think first. Um, I'm not sure what the Nika from the barrel or the Yochis go for, but I'm sure it's underneath that. You can probably get them for like 60, $70, but I would keep it between 50 and 80 to 90 at the top. And then if you do like it, then maybe if you have a little extra dough, maybe spring a little bit more and go for the 150, 175 and see what you think there. And keep going and see what you think. I'm going to clue you into what I'm having tonight. I'm going to keep this for the next show, Bottle Kill, but we've got the Amburic I'm partaking in tonight. I know you're not an Isla fan, but if you do like Islas, and if you like really great non-chill filtered natural color uh, port matured whiskey, at least finished with a little bit of bourbon and a little bit of sherry, this is where it's at, man. I love that bottle. 400, but 800 is a different deal. Yeah. All right. See you later, my here. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, man. I mean, I don't deal with secondary markets. No, I hear you. That's where you have to be careful too. Auctions can be great and auctions can be scary. Auctions can kill you. Auctions can do lots of different things. So you got to be careful with the whole auction. I don't mind the secondary market only because I will drink it. Like you said, I drink everything I buy. I'm the same way. Um, Everything you see has been opened. And there's a lot more you don't see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shelves that you don't see down that way, and they're all open. So that tells you something right there. I would have sold that McDurs and bought a few different things with the money. Well, yeah, I mean, that's some things you have to keep in account when you're collecting is like, what's your goal? If your goal is to have the high end, Macallan's, and it costs a boatload of money, then you're going to have to to play that game. But if you're like me and you pretty much drink everything you see, it's kind of tough to pass it up if you hear that it's a good whiskey. That's a tough one, man, and that's a good thought. I'm not sure what he's referring to on that one. Did a blind tasting of the 12 Deanston, the Yamazaki 12, the Clonleash 14. Oh man, that's a great lineup. The Deanston, I'm not going to read the rest of it yet. I'm just thinking out loud here. The Deanston 12, the Yamazaki 12, and the Clonleash 14. Oh man. For me, I'm going to rate the Clonleash 14 at the top because it's got that waxy mouth coat. It's heavy. I love that in a whiskey, and you can't get that outside as well as a Clonleash. Clonleash is one of the nicest, thickest whiskeys that you can find, bar none. Period. I love it. So and this is why John Glazer from Compass Box uses it as a thickener. I was lucky enough to have a conversation with him a few years ago in person when I was with the Scotch for Dummies touring in New York, and I'm like, what is it about Clonleash that you like? I mean, I can recognize it as a good base. Like if even you're talking about music, you want a good foundation. So is that why you use it? Is it like a great ABV kicker? Is it the mouth coat? And he responded to saying it's a great thickener. It's a great base for lots of different blends, and it doesn't really matter like if it's what type as much. It's a great solid foundation for lots of whiskey. So that's my number one. Um, the Yamazaki 12, though, I don't know if I've ever had that one, to be honest with you. The Deanston 12 is great. It's a 3.75 to 4 out of 5 whiskey for me. Clonleash 14, the same, 4 to 4.25 for me. Yamazaki 12 is probably pretty tame, I would say. I'm not sure about mouth coat. I would think it'd be a thin, like a Glengoin. Um, the fruit might be great in it though if it's got sherry. I'll have to learn more about that one and make an actual decision. Let's see what he says. For me, Deanston 12 came up on top at less than half. I think he means at least, or at less than half the price. Oh, I'm sorry, at less than half the price of the Yamazaki 12. The Deanston 12 is an amazing whiskey. Yeah, no, I hear you there. I would probably rank them Clonleash 14, then Deanston 12, then Yamazaki 12 for me if I had to do a comparison just out of thought. I would love to do that comparison though. That would be fun. I don't know if I've ever had the Yamazaki 12. It's a Kentucky Al 11 year from 2018. It sounds good. If it's a what do you think of it? I definitely have not had a Kentucky Owl before. Are they in Bardstown? Are they a Bardstown distillery? I'm just curious. I've tried that in my area. It never works out as well as you'd hope. Actually, wanted this bottle. Yeah. Oops. I think I guess messed up with the. That's right. Daniel, I've heard it was the first batch I'm fetching. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's worth a try. I would just be careful with the moolah spending. That's the thing you have to be careful of with the Japanese side. Not so much the taste. Most of them taste pretty good, but you gotta like delicate. You gotta like refined. You've gotta like fruit. You gotta like sweet. That's kind of the typical run of the. I bet it does, man. For $800, it better have a great fucking nose. I would drink the Michter's. I never had it. The toasted rye Michter's, that is. I wanted to try. I'm a rye fanboy, and now I have it. It's great. It's no handy, but it's good. What do you mean by handy? What's like the go-to rye for you, Daniel? Is that what handy is? What's the give me the skinny on the handy? I'm curious now because one of the things that is for me, I even though I'm not a huge bourbon fan, I do like rye a lot. I love the Midsummer's Night's Dreams. Those are probably some of my favorites I've had. High West, Campfire, that kind of thing. Trying to think of some of the other ryes I really liked. I've had a bunch too off and on over the years. I've had the Spios Glenmorangie is a rye type of dram. It's really good. I've always wanted to try the Pikesville, and that's one thing I've never seen. I'm hoping I can find it somewhere. What would you recommend me try next on my rye journey? I'm just curious. Yeah, you don't want to try to sell that a marshmallow quality. That sounds good. What's my whiskey of 2020? Oh man, it's definitely not that Carriages. I'll tell you that. It's man, oh man, and I will pleasantly happily tell you it's not the black either. Even though I do like the cask of that one. Even though I know you guys think there's a really young whiskey in there, but that cask is phenomenal, man. I don't care what anybody says on that black, but for 2020, man, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go. Oh, this is so tough to pick, but there's a couple things I haven't opened yet. But out of everything I've tried, and I've done the Benriach 21, I've done the Highland Park 18, we've done the Benromic 15, the Glencadam 21, we've done God the Deanston 20, we've done a boatload of really good whiskey. But I'm gonna have to say it might be that Aaron 21, man. That Aaron 21 is no joke. It's a really good top of the line new make, like I'm gonna say new make, I should say it that way, but new line, new bottle, Aaron, no frills, no coloring, no chill filtering, 21 years. I think it's at least 40. What is it? I'll just look it up on here, make it a lot easier. Let's see. Sorry for the old close up here, but I just want to look and get it real fast without doing a bunch of getting up and walking over and all that. Let's see what we get. The new one is 46%, not cast strength, but they do have a limited old one at 46 as well. It's probably the same juice, but a 21, I tell you, is really damn good, especially for the price. So the Aaron 21 so far, I'm thinking is my whiskey of the year. I know it sounds crazy, but it's really good. Whiskey Ace. The other thing I have sitting in glass is a June 14 bottling of the Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit I was able to buy for 35. Wow, that is crazy. That's cheap and sounds really good too. Oh, I still have a hill of that Michter's, man. I don't think they should compare Toasted to the other ryes. League of outside of the good or bad, but definitely different. I gotta try that one, man. Yeah, Pikesville rye is popular. I think it's why I don't ever see it. Well, go-to rye is the Willet 4-year rye, but I own 8 or 9 of them. Wow. But Thomas Handy is the Buffalo Antique Collection rye. Okay. So Willet 4-year or Buffalo Trace Thomas Handy. I'll try to remember that. Pikesville is overrated in my circles. Okay. That's good to know because I have never tried it. And if it's crazy prices that I find it for, I'll definitely skip it. I recently picked up the Lot 40 cast strength 10% rye. Initial impression was pretty good, quite full, not as grassy. I think it'll get better with some airtime. Floral rye, I'll have to think about that one. Kentucky Owl is nice. They're building a big adult whiskey park in Bardstown. The company has gone downhill since Stoley bought it. Ooh, they're building a big adult whiskey park in Bardstown, Kentucky. That's wild. I guess they're going all in on the whole marketing. Let's exploit everything we can before it dies, kind of thing. It sounds like. Is that a rye or what type of? I think you said that was a rye, Stephen, isn't it? Kentucky Owl. I have to remember that. The turkey is so good. The flavor cones and waves. Master's Keep Batch 1. No pulse. I got my hand on the pulse of mid 2010s turkey releases. Apparently, it sounds like it. Pikesville is overrated to me also. It drinks too much like a bourbon. Okay, well, I'll skip that one then. I'm glad you guys told me about that. Yeah, some of those Kentucky spirits are amazing bourbons, yeah. Silver Riser Try. Oh, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Send me an email at telex@outlook.com, and I'll try to return the favor in some fashion. We'll have to have a conversation about what you like, but yeah, that sounds very cool. I really appreciate that because I would like to try some that people already, are into. Pikesville Price is fun. It's good ride, but lots of people rave about it. Yeah, $55, not as expensive. Okay, if I could find it for 55, I'll jump on it. If it's over 55, I'll pass. Then both my parents' sides are from deep southern England. What do I think Scotch period drink? All my people come from Annandale, which is southern Scotland on the border. They were the Johnstons were a border clan that fought with the Maxwells back in the we're talking like Robert the Bruce days, and I'm surprised that my favorites in Isla and Campbelltown compared to anything else. Um, it's weird. Maybe it's our ancestors or something, man. I don't know. Maybe they came from Isla and then went south afterward. It's hard to tell. Hey, y'all. Hey, good to see you. It looks like you got a Roblox character on your thing. My little girl's into that kind of stuff. That's why I recognized the old Roblox avatar there. I had to laugh a little bit. Sorry, man. My turn. I like the name. Good, nice to meet you. Welcome. Eat them eyes. Lost cause, man. Good to see you. My bills are heart 30 Wickham. No, yeah, telex@outlook.com. That's right. Just give me an email and I'll be happy to try to work something out with you on the side there. That's crazy, man. Well, thanks so much, guys, for hanging out and going through the comments and getting to know about what you guys like. And I'm eager to try getting some more ryes. I've got an unopened bottle of the Midsummer's Night's Dream. I got to pop that sucker open and do a review on that. It's an old one from a friend, Scott Evolved on Distiller. I think he was the one that sent that one, and I haven't forgot about it. It's just that he was going through his bottles really slow, and I felt like I was outpacing some of these guys on the drinks, so I slowed down a bit. But then they were still doing some trading, and after we went through all the distilleries, I thought, I'm going to take a little break, and the shipping was getting a little crazy, and it's hard to compete with some people that they like to send you some like 21 and 25 and even 50-year-old stuff, and you feel bad sending them like 12s and 15s. So I had to take a little break from the group, but still have to do a few. I got a couple grains I haven't done yet. A Cambus and a Cameron Bridge, I think, and a Port Dundas. I have to open up some samples still. I'm not a huge grain fan though, so this should be interesting. Unless it's like 30 to 40 years old, the grains don't really do much for me on that deal. The new rare breed rye will own most others outside of the owner or rare breed rye. I have to keep that in mind. 11-year-old Overholt is interesting. So many choices. That's what makes this tough. This is why I usually stick to Scotch, because there's so many, choices. Even in, Scotch, there's so many sub choices as it is. It's hard to really go outside that. Let's see. Yeah, that rare breed still, of all things, is still. Yeah. I'll have to take a look at that, and I'll get with you, Dan, on the side. Thanks so much, guys, for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I do have to work tomorrow, so I got to cut it short, unfortunately. But I will see you guys soon. We will have the show next week on Tuesday. It'll be the Bottle Kill show. So if you have any heels that's been laying around for a while and you're like, you just, we're saving them for a rainy day, or you just weren't really into it as much, and you'll always thought, I'll just come back to that later. This is the show that we're going to go through some things, talk about a lot of different things, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and share some thoughts with you guys. Hopefully, you guys will do the same. Malt won't be able to make it, but maybe Steven or somebody will want to come on the show for a guest spot. If you do, let me know. Send me an email. You already got the email from Daniel up there in the chat. Send me an email if you'd like to stop by and have a chat. And if more than one wants to do it, maybe we'll have a little group live talk and see how that goes. It'll be a little fun to do something a little different on the side. Well, so much of off for now, guys. I will see you next Tuesday.